All right, so welcome to the One Body One Life podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Dr. Jason Wan, lifestyle physical therapist. As you guys know, I speak about everything in regards to helping people live a pain-free life, but also helping them to get stronger, more mobile, more resilient, and also take the actions necessary to develop better habits and a better lifestyle to serve them with all the activities and things that they want to do. And I'm just very blessed to be in this situation where I've been running, I've had this business and I've been helping clients for well over 5 years now. And I've worked with some very knowledgeable, very intelligent, but just very empathetic and very good people. And today I have actually one of my clients that I've been working with for quite some time now. His name is Jeff Redmond. And just very, very happy to have developed a strong friendship and to help you with certain ailments in life. But Jeff, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, thanks. Yes, you definitely have helped me with ailments.
Absolutely. Jeff, just to kind of start off this conversation, tell people a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living, and I guess what kind of precipitated you to want to seek out help.
Oh gosh, so what I do, I'm a forensic accounting expert. I have a desk job basically. I sit for very long periods of time, and over the years, that's caused some problems. I originally sought you out because I was having a rotator cuff problem or shoulder problem with my left arm. Over the years, when my son was in Little League, I heard it years ago. Uh, and then I went through some rehab and it got better. Then it came back and then it's some rehab and it got better. And the third time around, it wasn't getting better. I'd kind of done all the exercises that I'd learned from all the other physical therapists I'd seen over a decade. And it just wasn't getting better. And it got so bad, I couldn't even wash my hair, couldn't lift my arm. And it wasn't usable. And that's when I kind of found you and contacted you.
Perfect. Yeah, I know that when people first start off, I mean, they either find me through Yelp or Google. I believe you found me through my Yelp page, saw a number of reviews, and you're like, I remember you saying something. You're like, hey, these reviews seem almost too good to be true. And I feel like I've heard that a lot. And I don't know. And as a friend, as you and your job, you always approach things with a sense of skepticism. I'm just curious. Can you tell people about kind of like your mindset going into the conversation prior to us working together?
Yeah, definitely. As you said, I'm skeptical about everything. I don't believe anything until I see the the data or the backup for it. Whether it's my client giving it to me or the other side giving it to me, I test everything. Um, so when I saw your reviews, I thought, oh my God, this can't be true, right? And then I was looking on your website, and there's a lot of I don't know, at the time I thought maybe a little too salesy related stuff on the website for a healthcare practitioner. And but then I just couldn't get past the dozens and dozens and dozens of comments from people. And I thought, well, gosh, this guy's, got to know what he's doing. And I just kind of took the leap of faith, if you will, and I'm very happy I did.
Yeah, for sure. And it was great feedback. So currently kind of refining things and making sure that it's a balance between you got to make a living as a physical therapist and a coach. So you got to promote yourself to some degree from a sales perspective, but at the same time, the reviews for my end and the way that I coach my clients specifically, it helps to deliver lifelong results. So yeah, I mean, as far as so fast forward, we kind of took the next steps to working with each other. What did that kind of look like? I know that even you doing things even in person, and you've tried a number of PTs. I think it was how many PTs or how many people did you end up seeing prior?
Well, just for this one issue over the years, probably three or four different folks. I was at what do you call it, chiropractors. I saw ortho guys. I saw physical therapists. I saw a bunch of different people, um, and I got pretty much the same exercises from all of them. Uh, and it over time they just kind of stopped working, and it just wasn't strengthening enough of the shoulder, I think, to really kind of solve the problem. Just kind of the same old, outbound this way, inbound that way. I forget. There's a couple others I can't remember what they are now, but it some of those exercises just weren't really cutting it. Um, but yeah, I think over the years with all my different sports related injuries, I've probably seen 20, 25 different physical therapists.
Yeah. And I think that every physical therapist, that I can't speak for the other ones.
Oh, looks like you cut out.
Yeah. Am I still here?
Oh, now I didn't hear anything after I can't speak for the other ones. Then you kind
Oh,
of went
yeah.
blank.
So I was just saying that I can't speak for other physical therapists. Some are just doing it for a paycheck and they're not in a job that they enjoy. Some are actually really, really good and they're just in a setting that they can't really perform at the level that they want to. I felt that when I was working at another large clinic, I felt like I had a lot to show for it. I had a lot of passion for what I did, but I was just stuck in a situation that I couldn't give people the type of care that I wanted to. So that's what kind of brought me and you together.
Hmm.
Can you share a little bit about what that kind of looked like from even an online perspective, something that also you're a little bit skeptical about, and it was just kind of a thing where you're like, hey, this is different, but I'm going to take a shot at it. Can you share people about kind of like that experience from the virtual side of things?
Sure. Yeah, I was very, very hesitant about the virtual side of things at first. I was like, how can you, help me fix my shoulder if you're not going, if you're not here to touch it, feel it, see it, feel the pops it was making and the crunches that happen every time I move my arm. But in the very first, I think one of the first calls, and I also had this skepticism about, do I need surgery or not? Right?
Hmm.
I didn't want to spend the money to go see you and go through the program, whatever that was at the time, X weeks, and then have to have surgery and then pay somebody else to do physical therapy all over again.
Hmm.
And one of the things I was very impressed with in talking to you about that was that you kind of ran me through a series of fairly simple movements and exercises, at a point where literally I couldn't raise my arm without feeling like somebody was stabbing me with a knife. Um, and you I think can deduce that from what I could and couldn't do, that you didn't think I was a candidate really for needing surgery, that through strengthening and movement exercises that we could get my arm back to where it needed to be. um, One, I really liked hearing that because I've always been very anti-doctor, no offense. um, but I for years I've had multiple issues, and seen multiple doctors, especially when I had a back injury way back when, and just got a different answer every time I saw somebody. I just kind of got a distrust for the medical profession, if you will. Finally, I met, and got my back fixed, and that was probably the best decision I ever made. Followed number two by you, finding you on my shoulder. Um, but yeah, it's the whole process is kind of fraught with uncertainty, right? And somebody who just wants to see data, which is my world view, it's kind of a leap, if you will, to kind of sign on with someone.
For sure. And so when we first started and we started off with those simple movements, what did you start to notice after we started to, even let's say like 1 to 4 weeks into the program? What sort of results did you start to notice?
Oh, I was seeing results almost immediately. It was kind of funny. I really, because some of the exercises, well, all the exercises were different from what I used to do, but you could tell some of them were on the same plane, if you will, or the same kind of grouping, or like style exercises. Um, but following through on some of the stuff you were telling me, I was immediately I started, I was able to wash my hair with two hands, able to pick things up. There were still things for I think many weeks where I was still getting a nice little shock of pain every now and then, but or a clunk or a crunching or whatever. But the pain was going away pretty quickly and going away fairly consistently, week after week after week.
Yeah. There was also a focus on just a couple things. We started to really focus on spine mobility, how I told you that spine mobility and how it kind of interacts, the rib cage interacts with the shoulder blade. And I explained a lot. And one thing that I really love, and I pride myself on it, is not just giving me the exercise, but explaining the what, the how, the why behind it. So as far as from like a knowledge perspective, how do you feel overall now with like kind of the knowledge you've gained, but also some of the exercise that worked pretty quickly?
Yeah, it's night and day. I mean, it's so funny. I think the you hit the nail on the head there. The mobility uh, is so crucial anymore. I can tell now if I sit for any length of time, and say, for example, I'm on a deadline, I got a report due or a trial or something like that, and I'm working, till 10 or 11 o'clock every night. Um, I can tell, my body can tell when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
And I start doing some, especially spine, upper back and lower back mobility things. Um, and I can kind of snap myself out of it pretty quickly. It's, I feel like I've learned more about how my body works and what it takes to keep it moving from you, and even the first several months, let alone today, that I learned from all my other physical therapists and doctors put together over 40 years of 50 years of no wait, how old am I? I call it 45 years of sports related injuries. So I just feel like it's been um, kind of an answer to prayer, if you will, that we kind of came to work together. And now I feel like I kind of understand what has to happen when I wake up, if I wake up, which I'm not doing anymore. I used to wake up every now and then with a neck kink so bad I couldn't turn my head for 3 days.
Hmm.
And now, if that happens, which it rarely does anymore, I know how to fix it. Right? Uh, it's just a totally different. It's like the user manual you never got for your body, right?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And the other piece that I think has really helped you, and what I think you did extremely well in, is making exercise a part of your life rather than exercise used as a means of, like, when stuff is breaking down, then I decide to do it. Or we oftentimes, a lot of people out there, they react to the pain. They get an injury, they have pain, and then they do something about it. That ultimately was where we started. Your left shoulder was in pretty debilitating pain. You reacted. You sought out somebody to help you with it. Now we started to really push towards, as you can see with some of your routines that were in your program, the shoulder habits, habits that it doesn't matter how you're feeling, you just do it, right? It's just a part of your life. Um, how was that process of, and did you feel like I pushed you too hard in that sense too, where I was like, hey, this is not just exercises. This is something that you innately make a part of your day. So how did that kind of affect you as far as, like, when we started talking about the habits?
It was huge, right? Because as you nailed it there. That I was kind of in the, I just work a lot, right? And I was in the, you work late all the time, you sit at a desk all day, and then you do something when you have to, right? When my back's hurting or my shoulders hurting, then I start exercising again. And then you asked me a really interesting question early on about my why. Why am I really here? And the answer, I think, was at the time that we've got one child. He's now 29 years old, but I wanted to be able to do the things that he asked me to do with him, whether it's mountain biking, on a double black diamond at North Star, or skiing a double black diamond mogul run in Colorado, whatever it is. If he's asked me to do it, I'm going to do it. Right. That's just kind of how I want to spend my life. I want to spend time doing the things my kid asked me to do. And I was finding that I wasn't really, I was going the wrong direction, right? I was being able to do less and less instead of more and more. Um, and I do feel like, there's kind of incorporating movement into my lifestyle now. Even on days where I can't get to the gym, I'm doing something, right? One of the things we talked about is I do some balance work. Like, I'll brush my teeth on one leg pretty much all the time.
Hmm.
When I don't, I half the teeth on one leg, half the teeth on the other leg. Or when I'm sitting in the microwave waiting for something, or waiting for something to come off the oven or whatever, I'll do some push-ups against the island, or I'll do some squats, or I'll do some lunges, or I'll do some rotational work. Um, Pushing a cart in the grocery store. I'm stretching my ankles and my toes and my maybe some lunges on the cart. I'm just kind of always doing something now, and it's made a big difference. Before bed I'll do certain things now which I never did in the old days. But I'll do some spine mobility stuff before I go to bed. And um, you also taught me one of the things: to put the foam roller in front of the TV. So when I come downstairs, if I want to watch a movie at night or whatever, I get the foam roller out, or I get the kettlebell out and do some swings or some passes around the body or whatever while I'm watching. and it's
Yeah.
kind of my payment, if you will, for the TV time. Even if I don't, like I said, get to the gym for an hour, work out that day, I'm doing something every day, and it's made a huge difference.
I'm thankful that you have literally incorporated things that I do in my own life. I always try to lead by example through, I told you, I'm like, I do things at Costco. I do things at Trader Joe's. I do things when no other person in the building is doing those things. And, when it comes to us taking care of our bodies, I do think that we should be okay with being the peacocks in the room. We should be the ones that are like saying, hey, if everybody else is on their computer just chugging away for 8 to 10 hours, you should be the one that's being willing to flail your arms around, do some shoulder work, do some upper body work, and you be the one that stays pain free. You're the one that stays mobile, while everyone else, you kind of separate yourself from the grain of the group. I guess with that being said, there's an analogy that I like to use around, all the work that you put in so far, Jeff. So you're looking at lunges at Costco, and you're doing kettlebell passes while watching the playoffs and watching sports events. It's like you investing $1 into your brokerage account, right? It's like, oh, $1 really doesn't feel like much, right? You just did a few lunges, but you're looking at how that compounds over time. We know that $1 over a year, it doesn't do much, right? But then you're looking at $5, $10, $15, and you do that over a 8 to 10 year span. What does that end up with? It ends up with a pretty hefty nest egg, which, translating that to the human sense, that's a body that's still able to do the things you love into your 60s and 70s and 80s, right? So again, I'm just very proud of you for taking the willing or being willing to incorporate the craziness of the way I coach, and to ultimately put that into your life. With that being said, there was an incident that you actually had, and if it's okay to bring this up, it was the incident where, don't know how it happens, but you're kind of like you're literally saving someone's life at the ski run. Do you mind sharing with people kind of like what that kind of looked like, and that time where you're grabbing onto a guy for dear life? Yeah, why don't you
Oh,
share a little more about that?
yeah, I had to think about it for a second. I wasn't sure what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I just had a weird situation recently. I went to Colorado to ski with my son for a week, and he had to end up go back for a work thing. So he took off, and I'm skiing on my own on kind of one of the lifts that serves some advanced terrain. But anyway, so everybody on this lift theoretically should be a pretty decent skier,
Mm,
and I'm second from the left chair. I think is a four person chair, and the guy to my left just lined up in a weird spot, and he ended up getting hit in the back or in the butt, if you will, with the arm of the chair instead of being able to sit down. It kind of launched him forward, and then he kind of almost really dove on my lap. And so now he's kind of laying on me, holding on. So I grab hold of him, and next thing you know, his skis, the lift's moving forward. The lift, can't stop it very quickly, and his skis are dragging behind him, or be kind of under the chair, if you will,
mhm,
and he's kind of laying on me. But then, since the lift didn't stop, when the platform that you stand on falls away, right? That doesn't last forever. When it fell away, all his body weight now is on my knees,
mm,
and it's starting to pull me off the lift. And which he did. He pulled me off the lift, and we're now, maybe call it 3 feet, 4 feet in the air, something like that. And I did a somersault. Chair hits me in the back of the head. Luckily, I'm wearing a helmet, and
mhm,
then we just kind of end up in this sprawl in the dirt, if you will, kind of off to the side of the lift. And he's kind of, I think, panicking a little bit that other people are going to come behind us and run into us. So he's like trying to get up, and he's hitting me with his skis and his poles. And anyway, it was a mess. And at the time, I didn't think anything was wrong, right? So finally, the lift stops. Lifty comes over, helps get us up, um, and asks if anybody's hurt. No, I'm not hurt. Fine. But later that night, I'm going back to Denver to fly home, and I'm in my son's garage, and I go to pick up just a lightweight carry-on, and I get a sharp pain in my shoulder again, kind of almost back to the old days, just stabbing, horrible pain. And I was like, oh my God, after all this time that we've spent together, my injury's back. And I kind of did some things right off the bat, some movement, some light stretching, just trying not to overstimulate it. Um, and I think I got a hold of you the next day because I then went straight to the airport and got on a plane. And the next day it was still very, very painful. And through, some coaching with you on especially some upper back mobility, some thoracic mobility exercises, and a handful of other more kind of shoulder specific things, within 3 days, or I guess maybe 2.5 days, pain was gone. And it was, I couldn't hardly lift my arm again. It was just bad. Um, and it just popped away, just went away as quickly as it came. And that's kind of unusual for me, right? It used to be unusual for me, right? When I get something, it would last a long time. And
Mhm.
now I feel like I've got the tools. And when I don't have the tools, I've got you, who can give me some insight into, some other things to try. I immediately went to shoulder stuff that you've given me. I didn't
Mhm.
really think about the upper, thoracic mobility. I think that made a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just great to have that type of open communication between clients, and the coach. What I actually really value a lot is always being there, right? We have a community, we have direct access to speaking with me, and that was something that I didn't have when I worked at my previous job, which was 20 physical therapists, over 1,000 patients at any point in time. And so, patients that I saw, if I saw you there, I would see you maybe one session. And then the
Yep.
next session, I can't see you for 3, 4 weeks. And then you're really not checking your emails because you're really just moving on to the next one. And whenever you get a cancellation, I was always just pushed to see another person.
Hmm.
But I really appreciate the the way that I've kind of built things out, from the online perspective is it's just giving people, I guess, unrelenting permission to message me at any time, build more of like, I guess, a friendship, rather than just like a professional client to coach relationship. And I know that we still have that, but like I said, I've considered a lot of my clients good long-term friends now. And I guess, when it comes to your perspective as the client, Jeff, um, how important is that to you to, I guess, build rapport, build, I guess, long-term trust, build a relationship with a client rather than, I guess, like, you said you're kind of anti-doctor. And I get that because sometimes it's impersonal, sometimes it's just like quick check-ins, they're not even like looking at you. But I guess tell people a little bit about maybe the relationship that we've built over the past many months.
Yeah, I think it's amazingly helpful to answer your kind of really simple question. Um, it's gosh, I run into a lot of issues. I still am very active water skiing, snow skiing, biking, and just all kinds of stuff. And it's amazing how many things can hurt the bod as you get 60 something. But it's uh, it's very helpful to have somebody that you trust that you can call or text or get on the Zoom meetings, the coaching meetings, and get some insight. Right? It's just there's so many different things that like I never would have thought that back and thoracic mobility would have been a shoulder issue. It would have kind of caused some of my shoulder problems. But the more I work on that, the better my shoulders feel. It's really, I never would have gotten there without having somebody like you to really kind of direct me there, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. I guess to kind of start, kind of looking and kind of wrapping things up, kind of appreciate your time here. What are, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Like, what are maybe like one or two of the absolute biggest principles that you've taken from me during our time working together that you can share with the audience that can help somebody with either severe pain, some sort of chronic pain, some sort of injury that they can overcome. Take your time, but maybe you can give one or two insights that I think will give value. That'd be greatly appreciated because I feel like I've taught you a lot of things.
Okay, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. But the thing that popped into my head when you first asked that was well, you had a little saying for me early on because I was like, "Hey, I work all the time. I don't have time for the gym." A lot of excuses, right? And you said something along the lines of, "You either make time for your health today, or you'll make time for your disease or injury tomorrow." Right?
Yeah,
And it really stuck
exactly
with
like
me
that.
that yeah, you really do have to put in the time. And, I'm very good at excuses, because I do have a career that requires me, you know, to work at some crazy hours.
Hmm.
But if you don't take the time, you're going to pay for that. And I read a book years ago that said, it basically said, you're either decaying or you're growing every day.
Hmm.
There's no middle ground. So,
Yep.
and that kind of fit along with everything you were teaching me. Um, and you kind of pushed me in areas like that, gently, but still firmly to kind of get out of my excuse realm
Hmm.
and focus on doing something every day. And it's not just one time during the day, right? Every time you have a few minutes, like when I go get water, I have a thing now. I do squats when I get back into my office. I do 20 just body weight squats when I come back to my office. That's just kind of something I do to, kind of get my body moving a little bit and counteract the sitting all day, let alone with other things that I might do throughout the day. But um, that's probably the biggest thing was make time now, stop making excuses. And
Hmm.
then the constant do something, some kind of movement all the time, right? You don't have to restrict your kind of exercise to the gym.
Hmm.
I put together a small, home gym just with some dumbbells and a bench and
Great.
stuff, so I could do some things here, but also just movement related things. It doesn't have to be weightlifting. Um, any kind of movement stuff is good. Oh, and that's something
Mhm.
else you said a second ago, which I wanted to comment on was uh, within the app. I love the fact that it tells you, for example, like I did my upper body, no, my lower body workout yesterday, and it gave me this kind of personal best for the day, and it
Yeah.
said through this range of exercise you lifted 3,000 pounds or whatever it was, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that sounds really impressive, right? I didn't feel like it's 3 sets of 12 or 15, whatever it was for that
Hmm.
one, but it adds up to real weight. And
Yep.
even though you don't feel like you're killing yourself, I mean, think about how just for that one exercise I lifted 3,000 pounds yesterday. That
Hmm.
had I not done it, that wouldn't have happened. Right.
Yeah.
And then, we did, well, there's probably 15 exercises in my routine, but it just was shocking to me. I never really paid much attention to the little badges, but it really is interesting and kind of motivating that, uh, you're doing something for your body that you wouldn't be doing else otherwise. So,
Yeah, for sure. And I guess I can bring you into like a second point. One, agree with that. I remember when I said that, like, enough with your excuses. Like,
yeah.
you just got to get in it. You are, you're prioritizing your work over your health, and you just got to like carve out the time, right? So like, if you're not doing things today, you're kind of, like, I think I said, if you're not making a date with the gym or with your exercise today, you're making a date with like the hospital, or you're making a date with like future disease later on. But
Right.
yeah, the last thing that you said was just in regards to that app, tracking your workouts, right? Logging your workouts, because it's kind of like you signing a contract to yourself. You're seeing the growth over time. You see that, okay, the first time I did this exercise, I only lifted, a couple thousand pounds. This time, lifting over 3,000. You're hitting personal best. You're getting stronger. And I I am a person that tracks everything, tracks my workouts, tracks nutrition. So if you track things, what can't be measured can't be managed. So tracking it will allow you to make measurable growth in your life. And lastly, I can kind of end it with like, yeah, motion is emotion. When you put motion into your body, when you excel and you make it a habit, emotionally, you're just way more satiated. You're happier. You're more fulfilled. When you're not moving, I mean, you're stagnant. Your lymphatic system's stagnant. You're sadder. You're more anxious. I mean, you're just more stressed out when you curl up into a ball and you just sit there. So, nonetheless, can't stress it to you enough that if there's one person that I can think of that's a testament to somebody that just sat still, sat long hours, just prioritized their work over anything, but then became a person, a creature of habit that just loves to move all the time. Look no further than Jeff. I mean, you're definitely a person that's completely revolutionized the way that you think about your health, the way that you move. And I really hope that, again, that you're kind of sharing this message with other people. And, just hopefully, yeah, I mean, whatever I teach to you, don't hold it to yourself. Definitely share it with others as well. With that
Yeah.
being said, Jeff, I don't know if there's anything else that you kind of want to add value to, or anything else that you want to kind of leave the audience with.
I think that ought to be it. I guess I'd say from an extreme skeptic, I am very, very happy that I made the decision to sign on with you. Like I said, I think I've learned more from you than I've learned from all the other doctors and physical therapists that have seen my whole life for, 20 different other injuries. Um, I understand so much more about the body now and about, habits, just ways to keep the body healthy. It's been huge for me. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I guess for other people that may be skeptics of, I guess programs that are seemingly, I guess they're far-fetched, or maybe they're very different from your traditional physical therapy. What would you say to that person that has kind of like similar thoughts going into this as well? Same thing as you.
Yeah, I think it's easy to be skeptical, right? Especially, like I said, if you've had experiences with doctors in the past that hasn't solved your problem, um, it's easy to become skeptical. Uh, for me, though, I think the fact that there were so many reviews for you and your team, and they were all just glowing. I was like, how can that many reviews not have some validity, right? Um, and now I'm just one of them. So I would say take the leap, but you got to do the work, right? It's not going to. There's times where I get really busy and don't do things, and I end up paying for that later, right? Like I've noticed even my concentration, because a lot of the work that I do is I liken it to, a 10,000 piece puzzle where
Mhm.
you're missing 200 pieces or 2,000 pieces, and you don't have the box to even know what it's supposed to look like, right? I'll just get a ton of data from clients, and I've got to sift through it and figure it out and figure out what it tells us. Um, and I'm finding if I'm not exercising, but that creativity side, that focus is not there as well. And sometimes I'll notice that my wheels are spinning a little bit at work, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't exercised in 2 days. And
Mhm.
I start exercising, and I kind of get back to the gym, and makes a huge difference. It just my mental clarity is massively different when I'm exercising than when I'm not. And that's been a huge benefit for me that I never counted on. Right, I counted
Mhm.
on being able to fix the pain and get some movement back in my body, but the mental side of it was not expected.
Yeah. Well, I think you opened up another conversation for just the benefits of strength training and mobility and even movement in general for your brain,
Mhm.
secreting a specific compound called myokinase that allows greater neurotransmission of different thoughts across your head. So when you're not moving, yeah, you're getting overall less blood flow to your brain, and therefore you do feel more stagnant. But yeah, I think that is why I'm a big proponent of strength training, because I know the benefits, not just cardiovascularly, but to your brain health, to literally every aspect of what makes you human, from your longevity to you wanting to stay active with your son for as long as possible. But just in general, just to enjoy life and not have to say no to any activities. I think that's definitely what you achieve, Jeff. I guess with that being said, just want to end this here, and for anybody here that may be interested in working with us, or maybe is skeptical, or maybe wants to kind of know what we're about, definitely you can always just go to my website, flexordrday.com. Check us out on Yelp as well. Or you text me. We have a number, 415-965-6580. Feel free to text and ask us questions on anything that you want, or if you feel like you want to work with us, definitely jump on a conversation with our team and see how we can help you. With that being said, I just want to end you guys with a quote that I always use. We only have one body, one life. Make every action you take be one that makes you a better version of you. Take care. And thank you, Jeff, so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Take care.